what's really interesting about the social world for me is that the social world is entirely driven by data. The whole thing is, what is being engaged with, what are people looking at, and that's what confirms what you see and what you don't see. And a big thing for us as marketers of businesses, you look at that, the enormous amount of money, energy, effort that goes behind creating that, and that tells me how I should be putting my content out. So, in addition to kind of things moving further and further towards video, what else is happening in social that most of us aren't getting anywhere near?
Well, I mean, it may be kind of like the Emperor's New Clothes, but having conversations, I know, is a big part of what you guys talk about, and we often look at ways in which we can scale those conversations, and chatbots and automation around personal messaging, I think, presents us with an opportunity that isn't really overly used yet. I'm sure it will be, but I like that sort of automation for the potential to potentially broadcast, but actually to be helpful. That's the thing that I think is the big benefit of that sort of automation, allowing people an opportunity to engage with a business, to ask questions, and to direct people towards the thing that they actually need. So that might be a very simple question that there is a standard answer. In which case, why do you need a human being to do that? Does somebody want to wait for that answer? No. So why not automate that? But importantly, and this is my big thing with chatbots and automation, the thing that people get wrong is, when do you actually then guide it to a real person? And the opportunity to intervene quickly and say, well, hang on, that sounds serious, or that's a question that we can't answer. What you need is a real person. Let me help you with that. Let me get you to that person quickly, is phenomenal, I think, in terms of customer experience. And there's there's various research and stats that back all of this up, but not enough businesses are taking advantage of that when they could, in a relatively inexpensive way. Software that does it is free, and the process of getting it is really about thinking about a conversation. So it actually couldn't be simpler.
And I suppose, just kind of for clarity, I'm sure people do know, but chatbots, if people aren't aware, it's effectively, let's just say on Facebook or wherever it may well be, it is a bit of software that will pop up and say, hey, can I help? And if you ask certain questions, it will be able to respond to those questions. You did this really well with
live chat. Like people-ish.
You did this really well with marketing, because I think one of the things I don't like about chatbots is when people are doing it and pretending it's a human being, because it just falls down. Whilst they learn, it just isn't smart enough. What I loved about the marketed one is actually it was all the way through. The wrong phrase, not tongue in cheek. It was giving the right information, but it said, when it needed some help, it said, actually, I think I need to direct you to a human.
I would say it was kind of humorous. That chatbot, which is
the right way to go. I think
you have to have a personality, because your brand needs a personality. So why not factor that into as marketing people, we often talk about what's your brand persona and what's the personality and the tone of voice. If you're thinking about your tone of voice for email marketing and how you want to come across, then you just think about chatbots in the same way. What's the personality of the bot? You make it obvious that it's a bot. People don't care. No. You should say this is a bot. This is what it can do. This is what
they just want an answer.
But they want the answer. They would care. They would get frustrated if you didn't do that, and you ended up in this round conversation with the computer, wouldn't you? Which I still think people are trying to pretend it's a real chatting function, where actually it's not. And
it's not. If you think about interactive voice response systems on telephones, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. When you get to your 6th choice, you're a bit cheesed off at that point. And it's the same thing with any kind of selection process. You want to be given the answer as quickly as possible, and if the thing, whether it's a chatbot or IVR or even a person, can't give you that answer, you want a different avenue. You want to, if it's a telephone conversation, you want to speak to someone's manager. If you want that resolved as quick as possible. So you just have to understand at what point you go, no, go to somebody else.
So what is there an example we could check out that does a chatbot really well that from a brand or a business? Or
well, dare I say it, I think if you went to marketed.live
Marketed.live.
the event and have a look at our bot, because it changes.
It was genuinely good.
It
was genuinely good.
It changes depending on what time of year it is. So now we're post-event, and therefore questions about speakers need to change, because if someone asks a question about speakers, there's no point in putting up the list of speakers that was, because that's a bit like, this is what you could have won. So those sorts of questions have had to be adapted and as to make it appropriate to the time. So I think we've done quite a good job there. The stats that we have on it have shown that it has been helpful in answering questions about the event and, importantly, removing barriers to purchasing a ticket.
Interesting. So that's marketed.live.
Yes, marketed.live. See the little pop-up thing in the bottom right-hand corner.
Have a chat.
And have a chat with that. And you know what? Have fun with it. If you can't get an answer, then the bot will actually learn from that, and then we'll feed that in, because we want to make sure that as many questions are answered as possible.
Cool.
It's a great thing to have in it. It's a great kind of thing to have out there. Done well, I think this works brilliantly.
There are some epic fails out there. I think Sainsbury's had a bit of a problem lately with something that they tried to do, whereby it just kept asking the question over and over. Oh, okay, I didn't understand what you mean. Do you mean this? No. Okay, do you mean this? No. Do you mean this? No.
Yeah.
Just get me a person, So that's.
And I guess that sort of feeds into kind of the whole sort of social thing, and that our reliance on tech. And I can't remember what it was, but I did something the other day. I think I was trying to buy a thing where actually every time you bought a thing, it just went back to the product page and said, you need to do this to buy the thing. So you click on the buy the thing, and it's just a glitch. But actually, because we've got so reliant, we've kind of pushed all our responsibility out to tech, that actually there's no one monitoring that. And you think, well, it's just hugely frustrating.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting. It's kind of relevant to chatbots and social. I think and I know you've mentioned it to me before in conversation about like the voice stuff, like Alexa skills, because to me, even though it's not on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, it's like a social thing, right? It's social media because you're interacting with it as you would a person, which is the whole premise of social and chatbots and things like that. Do you think that that's another thing that will come to like more to the forefront, like business use, like normal businesses and stuff?
Yeah, no question. I mean, the way that we search for things on Google has changed. We ask long tail questions, and we don't mind that, and increasingly we speak it. I think there's plenty of examples of good Alexa skills out there to engage and ask questions. So if you have a podcast, you can put your podcast through as an Alexa skill, and these Alexa skills are actually quite easy to write. There's plenty of software out there that allows you to create these. I created a really terrible quiz that you could ask a question, or it would ask you a question and you would have to answer it, and it would tell you whether or not that it's right or wrong. But these things have huge potential. Potentially when people wake up and they say, start my day or good morning or whatever the trigger is, and the device is giving you, well, here's the news headlines and here's the weather, and here's your productivity tip for the day, or here's your social media or marketing tip of the day. The opportunity there is that every morning the business is in front of that person, is talking to that person.
Yeah, interesting. I think that the social elements that we love on social media and stuff will spread throughout content. Like there's even newspapers and stuff are read more online for the commenting bit. You can do that. I just think it's a nicer place to be when it's human, to use a marketing buzzword, right? Yeah, good.
Nice. So finally, what's happening next? What do you think is coming down the line from the social channel point of view?
Well, I think we'll probably see the big networks do a lot more with AI to try and really maybe stop the rot of certain things. So I think Facebook is a challenge at the moment, and I think they're big enough to do everything within their power to make that a better experience. I saw last week they've announced something called the Facebook Portal, which is
that home thing,
a home device thing, because obviously you want a Facebook camera in your home, because there's no possibility that they will monitor everything that you do.
Nope.
And there's no chance of them ever being hacked, of course. So
Jeez, no.
But so I think they'll use a lot of AI to do some of that. I think AR is going to be much bigger, and I think we're going to probably be able to do a lot more as normal people like you and I, not intelligent, techie people. We'll be able to do some of that, and maybe as businesses allow people to experience our product in their own homes. To inform them and help them along that customer journey.
Interesting.
That experience thing is so massive in the buying process, isn't it? I think. I guess this is what's happened. I don't know how long's Facebook been around. Like 10 years, 12 years,
Over 10
14 years.
Which is mad when you think about that. You think the data they have on us now. It's just astonishing. Which, in theory, should be used for the purposes of good, to make our experiences of purchase and everything else, and social and community better. But it'll be interesting, I think at some point in a few years' time, you might think back and think, oh, how do they know that? And it'll... Brilliant. Well, mate, thank you very much for coming. How do people find you?
Well, you can find me everywhere at BizPaul. That's my moniker. That's where you'll find me. And or you can contact us at www.likemind.media.
Lovely. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We'll do it again.
Paul, it's